Good morning, YouTube family. Welcome back. I'm Laree with wagonwheelhomestead.com and welcome to my garden. It's early morning. It's late August. It's my favorite time to be in the garden. As far as early morning goes, we've had 100-degree temperatures almost every single day for the last week or two. And so this is the only time it's cool enough to be out here. Anyway, as promised, I'm going to give you just a really quick garden tour. This is going to be a fairly short video. I'm going to give you a quick garden tour and show you how much everything has come back from the hail. If you missed the story about the hail, I will link it here. We got hail on the 12th of June and the 20th of July, and now it's the 21st of August, and I want to take you through and just show you, as I promised you, how much everything has come back from the hail. I think you're going to be surprised, although the question of the day is, are we going to end up with enough produce to go to farmer's market before frost? Because we can get frost anywhere from the 15th of September to the 1st of October, hopefully later. That's what we're going for. But anyway, I'm going to show you, how everything has come back, what challenges we still have, if any, and I hope that you really enjoy the video. So first things first is the potatoes. If you watched our last video, you'll remember that they needed weeded. We've weeded them since then. There's just a few weeds that have come back, and we're not planning on weeding them again because the potatoes themselves are starting to die back, and which is totally normal for this time of year. So we will be harvesting these really soon. In fact, we've already been harvesting a few. You can see here where the ground is mounded up, and there's usually potatoes, down underneath. So anyway, we'll be harvesting the potatoes sometime in the next probably 3 weeks or so. And the next thing that needs to be harvested is the onions, and these have been weeded 2 or 3 times, but this grass keeps coming back. But not to worry, the onions are actually a little bit hard for you to see. They just all need harvested. They are a lot smaller this year, as I predicted, than they normally are. And that is because the hail, chopped back the tops. And when they bulb out, they produce a ring on their bulb for every leaf that they have on top. And because there wasn't as many leaves on top, thanks to the hail, the bulbs are not as big. So anyway, it's fine. We'll be glad for what we got. The peppers are really starting to come on. With the heat that we've had, they've finally recovered from the hail, and the peppers are looking beautiful. In fact, I harvested some the other day and made some sweet dill jalapeno pickles because I needed some jalapenos. So here's the less weedy onions, and again, we will be pulling all of them because you can see the tops are folded over and they are done growing. And it's supposed to get cooler in the next few days. So before we get any rain, I'd like to get the onions pulled out and get them up on the porch and have them start to finish curing. This is the strawberry patch. We got that all weeded. If you remember from our last video, that was a big project. There's always a few more weeds coming, but anyway, there's a few strawberries you can see there on the ever-bearing strawberries. So we've been enjoying those in our Calabar smoothies in the morning, and in fresh eating, in granola, what have you. Really focusing on watering these strawberries because I want them to send out a lot of runners and be prepared for a lot of strawberry fruit next spring and next summer. And moving on to, this is the squash that I have in this garden, which is mostly winter squash. Look at it. It has really come back, hasn't it, since the hail? In fact, it's sort of growing all over, which I knew that it would. I've been constantly pushing it back because it's sort of taking over these sweet potatoes. But I think the sweet potatoes are obviously growing fine as well. You can see they've really bushed out. Now, I don't know how much fruit we will find under there for the sweet potatoes. It depends on frost. They have to be harvested before frost, And so we will see. We're gonna get some very cool temperatures next week, like unseasonably cool, but hopefully we get a little bit more warmth to finish, ripening everything. And then under these hoops here is the lettuce. And this was planted like 2 or 3 hours before the hail. The hoop kind of helped to protect it. Anyway, we've been harvesting this for our CSA boxes and enjoying lots of salads ourselves. So that's been a big blessing. And over here, let's see, in here is the zucchini and yellow squash. And then over here is the dry beans. And, they didn't get replanted till about the 15th of July. So we will see if we get any crop before frost. Again, it's going to depend on whether the frost is early or late. But there's tiger eye beans and black beans. The cabbage is pretty much done. We can still get a little bit of cabbage out here if needed, and I do intend to make some more sauerkraut, although I still have some left from last year, so not a huge deal. The marigolds are looking beautiful. Down there, those big tall plants are broccoli. They just need to be pulled out. It's been too hot. The broccoli is long done. The green beans have come back fairly well. You'll remember they were really rusty and very beat up after the last hail. There's the remainder of the rust. But they are producing. We've been getting just a few about twice a week. So we have lots of people that want beans, and we'll see, if they start producing more. They do have a lot of blooms, so that's promising. And of course, here's our little flower patch. The girls have a good time keeping the flowers on the table in the house for us and picking fresh flowers, and that is super fun. And the orchard, checking on the apples, they still look really tough. Most of them are hanging on. If they ripen, I'll probably just have to basically cut out the bad spots, which is over half the apple, and try to make some sauce. That's probably the only thing I'll be able to do with any of these is make sauce. But we will see what happens here. I have harvested a few grapes over here and done a little bit of pruning on these, but just not very many grapes, not much for a crop off the orchard for sure. All right, I'm checking out the field garden. So the beets and carrots have been weeded again since you saw them last, but they are looking really good. I think I'm going to be able to put some beets in my CSA boxes this week. And the carrots, they probably need a little more time. Again, they took a long time to come up in the spring, but they are growing. And carrots and beets both don't mind it when it's cool. So they'll be fine even if we do get frost at some point. These pumpkins, we'll see. This was just like a last ditch effort to throw in some pumpkin seed in July and just see what happens. So we are seeing a little bit of some blossoms. These are more just because I had the space, right? So it's not like it's a big deal if these don't produce. Squash, of course, will not, put up with any kind of frost. But the stuff that was planted earlier, there is quite a bit of fruit on it. And I don't know if I'm getting a little bit of like squash bug pressure or what here. But anyways, this all turns into a jungle. By this time of the year, I don't mess with stuff too much because, again, it's going to frost in a month. Like, you get what you get. But we usually get a huge squash harvest, and it looks like we probably will again. There is, I think these are sugar pie pumpkins. I'm excited about those. Love to make lots of pumpkin stuff in the fall. And I'm keeping an eye out for snakes because I killed a rattlesnake in our barn yesterday. That was a little unnerving. I mean, always possible, but we have not actually killed a snake here on our property since we got married, the day we got married in 2011. So anyway, I don't want to find another one, but there's lots of watermelon here and some fruit. I'll see if I can find one to show you. Also lots of cantaloupe. So again, I think when it all finally comes in, as long as we don't get any more hail, I think when this all finally comes in, we're gonna just have buckets and buckets of stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to take some to market. Like, that's our hope. That's why we grow extra. It's part of our income. And so there's a cantaloupe, see it? Anyway, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to take a whole bunch to market in September. It will be a very short season compared to what we normally do, but still. These are my herbs. I do need to harvest some of them and get them dried. I really wish they were growing closer to the house because oftentimes I need some and it's like, oh, I don't want to go all the way down to the field garden to get some. But anyway, look at the tomatoes. That's the most amazing thing. If you saw that they were just basically sticks and nothing a month ago. And, you know, they love heat, and we've had an unusually humid summer, like a very humid summer. And so they have just grown like mad. Now, typically, you know, I would do a little more pruning on the bottoms of them, but they've had a rough start as it is, and they're growing like mad in part because they were also kind of pruned by the hail. And so they really are growing like crazy. Just because they have lots of different shoots coming up from the base where they basically were pruned by the hail. Anyway, my project this morning is to twine up these last, I think, 4 or 5 rows of tomatoes. You can see they're growing right out into the rows. This is where growing on fabric is so nice because there's really no weeds here to deal with. This is a very low maintenance part of the garden. This here needs weed eated, but my kids will be working on that. But yesterday I got a whole bunch of those twined up. I think this is where I have to start because these are pretty well twined up. And this is the big question, right? Because everybody wants tomatoes. So I'm probably gonna wait another week or 2 before I go to market because I really need tomatoes if I'm gonna go to farmer's market. The other challenge is it's really not a tomato year. Even without the hail, people that haven't gotten hail, some of them still don't have tomatoes. So it's just kind of how it is. There is one red one here. It's dinged up because it was from before the hail. And I'll see if I can find some of the green fruit to show you. There's the basil. It's looking good. We've been harvesting and enjoying lots of basil. But here's a green tomato. I mean, they're on there. They're coming. But it's just going to depend on how many and how soon we get them. And of course, some of what I have here is cherry tomatoes. Some is bush tomatoes because I just had to get whatever kind of tomatoes I could find to replant, which is fine. I'm grateful for that. But it's not the varieties that I normally would grow. So some of them are going to be lower producing than what I'm used to. But listen, this year a harvest is a harvest. It's just, you know, it's actually amazing that it looks this good. And so we're just going to have to be happy with that. And one thing I will say is that the cucumbers are just going bananas. So even though a bunch of them didn't come up, we had to replant them like twice. They are just going gangbusters. So these are the Sashima cucumbers from Johnny's, and I really don't like growing any other kind. They're very heavy producer, and they're great for pickling or fresh eating. And so yeah, we made 50 quarts of sweet dill pickles, and if you want that recipe, it's on the blog. wagonwheelhomestead.com. We made 50 quarts of that this week because that is my kids' favorite pickle. And there's a few more here, and then just some dill. My fence it keeps falling down. It needs some attention. But again, it's only another month until frost. I've not had any deer pressure or anything like that, and so it's just not been the priority. The weeding has been the priority, and that's what's been needed. So that's what it looks like. Pretty amazing comeback from just a month ago. So I'm gonna twine these tomatoes up, and we'll see in another week or two what we have for harvest. But I'm guessing we're gonna get, something. It's just gonna be not near the amount of pounds we normally would, obviously, because it's just gonna be a shorter season, even if frost is late, which I hope that it is. But anyway, keep following along. I'll show you if we get a bunch of produce to can. And again, if you are canning, if you're swimming in produce, there's a lot of canning tutorials and recipes from last year on the blog and on the YouTube channel, and lots of tips and tricks. I've been canning a long time, and so I'm happy to share those with you. Anyway, thanks for coming along, and I'll see you in the next video.